Okay, so for this little bed, here we have some oxeye daisy, looking adorable. And the oxeye daisy you can eat the petals of, but you do not want to eat the centers of. It has I can't ever remember how to pronounce it, but it's got the common organic pesticide in it. So if you eat the centers, you'll get an upset stomach. But if you eat the petals, you'll be fine. And then the leaves, of course, are quite tasty and are like a floral romaine flavor kind of to them. And then growing all around is the chickweed here, and it is just luscious. And chickweed is a very nice spinachy flavor. And if you know you've got a patch that's just chickweed, so you can just really harvest it in large chunks, this really would be good. I think this would be really good. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to have to. I think you can make like a spinach dip substitute out of these very, very easily. It'd probably be less work than using spinach because it's already down there. The way you tell the chickweed apart from its common lookalike, pay attention to how these leaves look, and then the flower itself is going to have 10 petals, if 5 pairs of 2. I don't have any flowering ones to show you, but that's the way you always can tell with chickweed. It's pretty tasty, really. Not too bad for the fact that it can grow where there's almost no sunlight. I have these growing on my north-facing balcony, so even where there's no light, you can still get that delicious flavor. Here we have bee balm, or monarda, and bee balm is flavored a lot like oregano. You can use it the way you would use oregano. It's really tasty, and then of course it has the lovely flowers on it that bees just adore, and there's multiple colors of it. But that's a fun oregano substitute if you're out in the wild. That'll be growing out in the wild. And then over here we have the salmonberry growing to the side. Salmonberry. All right, let's move along. This is wormwood wallflower. I think it's wormwood. It's been used for worming. It's in the if you check out that flower, that is most definitely in the mustard family there. And it's not very tasty. You can use it as a pot herb. I've seen it, and I've seen it used as a dewormer. It's probably it's one of the runts of the mustard family, in my opinion. It's one of the least tasty usable versions of it. All right, we got some more of the garden sorrel, the wood sorrel there, and some more feverfew growing in here. Just a few of the lovely little feverfew flowers. Feverfew is really fun because of those flowers. And then we've got, of course, the regular strawberries. Here they, of course, have been nibbled on by deer, but I put some blood meal down, and the deer have largely stayed away. You can see I've actually got new strawberries growing on there in September. Not too bad. Strawberries are edible, whole plant. It's a good one. All right, let's talk about this bed here. And here I have got more feverfew, being happy. We've got a real nice looking sow thistle, getting nice and big. Sow thistle's pretty yummy. You can eat pretty much the whole thing. It's a salad green kind of a flavor. Next to it, you can just see coming up here, and there's no flowers yet. This is musk mallow. It's going to have really delightful pink hibiscus style flowers on it that smell musky. It's a very enchanting, fruity, musky scent, and I absolutely adore it. It grows very well in our climate as a weed. It's a 2-year plant. All right. Here we have 2 different kinds of self-heal or heal-all. This was the kind I found growing native here on the property and planted here. You can see the little flower there. And then this is the kind that I bought from Simply Herbs, and the variety that came in. So the one we had growing native here is a much thicker, furrier leaf, and this one's a little more jagged edges. But there we go, same plant. I feel like self-heal is very interesting. It has a sort of it's not woody at all, right? It's a little mint. It's got its little square stalks. It's not woody, but for some reason it's got those woody pencil shaving flavored terpenes in it. I couldn't look up what terpene it is. I know what synthetic fragrance, some super synthetic fragrance, but it has a little bit of a wood shavings-y smell. Some fresh herbs can be that way, like thyme or rosemary can kind of be that way, a little woody sort of a smell. But it's actually growing on me, believe it or not. I've had the smell is becoming more and more pleasant as I'm around the plant more. Looking forward to using this one a little bit more. You can just eat it, but there's a lot of preparations that are made with it as well. It's a panacea herb. There's a lot of things that it's purportedly good for. All right, then growing here, which you probably can't see very well, but they are here. Another member of the mint family. This is being gnawed on by somebody. Stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is wonderful. Very delicious. Kind of a fruitier taste than say than say spinach, but definitely in the vein of spinach. It's a tasty one. Highly recommend it. Try it out sometime. You all know stinging nettle. All right, and then here we have burdock, and I left a few plants in the ground. Look at that gorgeous leaf. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Has long, deep roots. And the root is the main part edible, although the leaves are edible. You can see that there's lots of little critters eating on these leaves. The leaves are very edible. Haven't tried them yet. Just made a tincture of that, so we'll see how that goes. That'll be fun. And this is a valerian. Another one that's used for its root. Hopefully it can establish the root up pretty well before this whole thing has to go. I believe this plant right here is called True Unicorn. I believe that's the seeds that I planted here, but I need to double check that. But I'm going to just take some footage of this just for reference. I haven't done anything this year other than this, so we'll see. I'll need to get on using that. Planted a, let's see, this one is Pachyphytum compactum. Wasn't it cute? Isn't it? It's a little squat elephanty thing. Most of your succulents are edible, so I included those for that reason. This is a much more widespread, well-known edible, Verdolagas or purslane. It's pretty good. It's mostly just tastes like minerals. It's a hot day. It'll help keep you hydrated. You can pickle it. You can throw it into stuff. It's nice and thick. It spreads like gangbusters. See, it's just growing like crazy here. It does a good job. It has nice, thick, fleshy stalks, so you get a lot out of it for the purslane. That's a fun one. All right, yarrow, Achillea millifolia, Achilles, 1,000 leaves. Now, Achilles was reported to use this on the battlefield to stop bleeding, and it really does have medicinal properties. That's not just a load of bunk. It has these little chipmunk tail leaves. It's a bit of a strong flavor. I don't mind adding it to something else, like in a potato salad. Adding the chopped up leaves to a potato salad, but it's mostly minerals. You don't want to eat too much of it. But it's very, very useful plant. And then tinctures will be made out of the flowers, stuff like that. All right. And then it's hanging out next to marshmallow. I'm so excited. I need to dig the roots up. But I'm going to actually try making marshmallows using my own marshmallow root this year. It's going to be super fun. I just recently found out that marshmallow is actually considered endangered or protected in the areas where it grows native. It's not being grown there. It's got a very interesting, soft, kind of fuzzy leaf, and it has such a bland taste, but the mouthfeel is wild. It's got this weird, foamy sort of mouthfeel. You really need to try it. It's wild. Marshmallow leaf. Apparently, the ancient Egyptians would eat marshmallow leaves, fry them up with some oil. Okay, so this little area is a special little zone, and what I did is I just took a bag of soil and watered it and saw what happened with the amount of soil I had, what was already in there. So this was soil from Mattawa, Washington, so it's desert soil. So the things that are growing in here are not happy now that it's raining. A few little things came up. I didn't add any aeration to it because I wanted it to be scientific. If I was going to do it again, I'd add aeration. It looks like it's got a red shank growing in there now. I'm not sure what little plant this was. This was the same as this plant. Some little desert plant was what grew. And then it looks like some spurge ended up finding its way in there, and some other stuff are about to come up now that it's the rainy season. So we'll see what else might come up in there, but there's no air circulation in here. You can see if I'd added something to be a little bit more aeration, I think more would have grown in there. I can't imagine there's not lots of good seeds in there. There certainly was all sorts of stuff growing in the area where I got this dirt. So there's got to be seeds there, but this is your typical housing development dirt. All right, so this was dirt that I got from just outside of our greenhouse. So, you know, all the different things that we might have in our greenhouse could be in there. But I just dug the dirt up. You can see there's a bunch of crabgrass. Here, crabgrass is of course edible. This is high protein food. So this is food. This is a feast. What we have in here. This is a feast for free. We've got some gorgeous bitter dock here. Bitter dock can be used as a yellow dye, and the seeds can be kept, and the root can be eaten kind of like a carrot. Lots of vitamin A. So much you have to watch out, not overdo it. We got more sow thistle. Here are the little sow thistle tops poking up through the top. It's getting to be the end of the season. Then we've got amaranth. We had lots of amaranth growing in and around our greenhouse, and so there's lots of it that popped up this year. So that's one of the most nutritious foods on the planet. It's used in Greece. It's used in India. It's good stuff. I would imagine that the armies of Alexander the Great would have known this plant well. And then, let's see, that's in the other one. What else do we have in here? We have got, might be it. Looks like we had a little bit of red shank. I was pulling the red shank out as I found it because we get it. You're here, red shank. You're here. You're huge. But yeah, so it looks like they've really dominated. Oh, one more thing. We have some nipple wort, it would appear. I believe that's what that is in there as well. So we got a medicinal plant in there. Some other stuff. Oh, I'm not quite sure what this is. Got something else in here. There you go. And that's just from watering it and to see what was there. And most of it is food. So you don't even need to buy food plants. It's right there. Okay, this one was a bag of Four Corners potting soil. So it was a sealed bag of soil, and I planted it. And I don't know if this was just what was floating around in the air and seeds ended up, or if there was these seeds in here already. But it had loads of lamb's quarter and amaranth. That was all that was in here, lamb's quarter and amaranth. So it was quality soil, and it has the most 2 nutritious plants on the planet on it. That's lamb's quarter seeds. They can be used the way amaranth seeds or the way quinoa seeds would be used. And then their leaves, of course, like I said, taste amazing. All right, and then here's more of the amaranth that is falling over from being in that one. All right, and this final batch of soil was from the wetland play area where the tiny Trex goes. Interesting things in here. We got some nipple wort in there as well. It's a common one. And then this is the little purple flower nightshade is what that is. So that's dangerous near the kids area. That's no good. That'll make you sick or worse. Lots of nipple wort. Yeah, look at that big old nipple wort there. Lots more red shank. There was a lot of red shank in this one, and I actually pulled all of it. I only let one red shank plant grow up to maturity. There was lots of it. And this looks like a relative of red shank, and I need to look up what it's called. It's unfamiliar to me, but it's definitely related. All right, and then let's see. Looks like we've got some bull thistle in here as well. More of that same fuzzy leaf plant that I got to learn what it is. Some other kind of grass that's a wetland style grass, a different kind of grass than any other ones. And it might be a strawberry down way in there. I don't know if you can see it. Looks like there's a little strawberry all the way in there. So there we go. They all had edible plants right away. All you need is soil and water. That's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool. Oh, let's just take a look. And the bees. All right. So down here was my warm weather plants. So I've got them closed. Hopefully we can keep them going a little longer. Here, as the season's about to turn, I need to look this plant up. This is really cool. And I planted it here because I thought it was cool and looks like it might be useful, but we'll see what it is. And then I have Tulsi, of course, the beautiful, wonderful, fragrant, eminently useful, apparently enjoyed by slugs. Tulsi. This is a Kapoor Tulsi. I've got lots of little Tulsi plants growing in here. You can see that one on the way there. Then I've got the flowering tobacco in here. That is a banana. It's a Japanese banana. It will not produce bananas here. We don't have the right climate, but it will produce these lovely leaves, which are useful and edible. It is the grass family. And then I have another amaranth plant in here, and I have, what else is interesting? Oh! And I have St. John's wort in here, which can be an abortifacient. You got to be careful, but it also can be used medicinally. And there's another one in the way back there as well. So that's my little bed there. Let's tuck those guys back in so they can stay warm. All right. Ooh, lots of red shank. Lots of dock. These are the dock tops, the seeds of the dock that you can save and eat and make into flour. Very useful, very nutritious. All right. Then here we've got jasmine. Jasmine is wonderful. You can add the leaves to into the same container as something you want to have jasmine infused and scented, and they will give their scent to it. So I did that with tea this year, and that was wonderful. They smell lovely. I just thought this would be a fun thing to have. Then here you can see my strawberries growing around my bees, trying to keep them protected from the bunnies and the whatnot. All right. So into this part of the garden. Here we are. My parking spot. My field here. This is going to be buckwheat. This was going to be buckwheat next year, but this year we just did some rye and some fava, and the rye's come up. It's a nice little cover crop. You can see the area, it grew real quick. It was much easier than putting down plastic and wood chips. Much quicker. And at least it'll stay weed free in that area. Yeah, for at least a time. All right, so there we go. We got more dock. We got some of the gorgeous sedum that was planted by Amy so many years ago that are edible, and the bees love this sedum. Love this sedum. It's great for bees. And then there's borage everywhere. Borage could be cancerous. Cancer causing. We're not sure, but it creates a delicious, wonderful pale honey, and it supposedly increases honey production. So all of these borage plants, I just let lie where they were. You can see there's a couple there so that the bees could just go crazy. And there's a bunch back there as well. They taste like cucumber, and it has these beautiful star-shaped flowers. Look at that. They're really cool. Often used in cakes and things. And then you can see where the jasmine goes across there. And then here I've got a red clover. Look at that beautiful red clover. She struggled getting big this year, but she's finally hit her stride. The whole thing's edible. You can make meatball substitutes out of the flowers. Might be anti-tumor. Tastes like beans. It's a legume. Restores your soil. Doesn't get much better than that. Next to it we have plantain. Let's get in there. And there's the broadleaf plantain, and there's the narrowleaf plantain. That's little flowers. The narrowleaf plantain really would make a lovely landscaping plant. Plantain's a pretty good weed. It doesn't invade everybody. It's also very easy to pick the seeds and store them to dry them. And they're very nutritious, and they're slightly mucilaginous, so they help with that kind of thing. You can use them to help with all sorts of skin ailments, wound healing. You can make deodorant out of them, and they're edible as a pot herb. They grow everywhere. Plantain. And then it's hanging out here next to Herb Robert, Stinky Bob. Some people will use this as like a cilantro substitute. Not that it tastes like cilantro. It's a weird flavor seasoning. I do not really like it very much, but it's a thing people do. Got some phlox here for the bees that we just let be here. And yeah, okay. So let's keep going. What else do we have? We have a slightly trampled California poppy. There was a field trip here today, so that does happen. Got a little calendula going on right here. Looking fine. Finally getting huge for the season. Another borage plant blocking everything. We got some more amaranth. And then I planted little strawberries all around here that I found growing wild. So if we're allowed to stay, there'd be strawberries there. I got another St. John's wort. Another borage. We have the lilac in the center, all cozy. And we have the mint, spearmint here. And over here we have the Agastache licorice mint, which are just phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of this licorice mint now. And, oh, more little tulsies hanging out down there. And then more feverfew. A different kind of mint here, slightly different. You see the round leaf or the spear leaf. And then more, after you get past the sedums, we have a little bit of lemon balm right there. Okay. Now here is my delicious Krishna tulsi, slightly different kind of tulsi. I had my various other plants here, but they had to be taken in for the season, so I'll show you those later. And some more of the plants planted by Amy. Some more poppy here. Sedum. Got some daisies that have yet to come up. That's not edible down there. That is lupine. And lovely, lovely flower to have, but not edible. It's just really in there. Couldn't get it out. Was going to move it. More Tulsi looking adorable. There next to the daisy. It's like a Shasta daisy. See the calendula popping through there. And here we have flowering carrot. Queen Anne's lace. That way the umbel is contracting is one way that I think it really separates itself from the hemlock and looking very different from the hemlock in my opinion. It rounds itself up at the end. But it certainly can be a look-alike. You have to feel for the fuzzy stem, which this has. This isn't doing super well because it's just flowering at this point, but it is staying in there. I transplanted it. Didn't take super well, but it's keep on flowering. It's keeping on. And yep, it is a wild carrot. It's usable like a carrot. You just got to be careful. Some little poppies sprouting for the season there, but won't make it very far. Little purslane, and look at all these cute little plants just growing up. All you need to do is know what they are. You don't even need to buy anything if you're careful. All right. Gorgeous garden. Here's the massive bull thistle plant. One bull thistle plant here. And that is edible. That'll feed an army of people. Maybe not a literal army, but probably a hiking group of people. That'll feed for sure. And you can eat the inside bits, like an artichoke. Artichoke is a thistle. So that's the part of the artichoke you eat is the flower. But you can eat these leaves too. They're not super tasty at this age. They're better when they're younger. You can see they're getting really yellowy. The thistle has no problem weakening itself at the end of its season to call other animals to it. And I have found that every kind of bee adores the thistle, and lots of other critters use the thistle as well. As you can see this amazing spider here. Wow, that's cool. That's really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, this bull thistle, it has this tap root, so it is breaking up the soil. It's amazing. It's what it does. I think habitat-wise, it's a great plant. It's rainy day today, but in the middle of summer when it wasn't rainy, every day I would come out here, I would see multiple bees on each flower, like multiple species of bees. There's always something alive on this plant. It's really, 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 really wondrous. All right, we got more herb Robert down here on the ground. And woolly mullein. This one doesn't have any of its yellow flowers. It's pretty spent. The bees do a pretty good job at picking through on the flowers. This one's got a few of its yellow flowers left to see. But that can be used as a torch. It can be used as splint wounds. It can be used to keep pain and swelling down. It is an amazing, amazing plant. Oh, it's also good for respiratory issues. It does everything. It's its own little pharmacy. One of these plants, this size of plant, that's family of 4. It's medicine for a family of 4 for a whole year. And then here we got more borage and a little strawberry action. See the strawberry? It's been a little hurt by being attacked by this borage and a little over moist, but it's not been attacked by the bad deer. Here's the common look-alike to that we're talking here. This is not chickweed. This is the common look-alike to chickweed. Let's go over there and look at it real quick. Here we are with the chickweed. You can see those pointed leaves, and this has these little mustardy looking leaves. So not chickweed. Sure to tell them apart. They grow similarly when they're both young. They look real similar all in there together. Okay, and then here was where I planted dandelions, and this was going to be dandelions and white clover all around in here. And you can see once again it's clover because it does not have heart-shaped leaves. Some of them can be a little heart-shaped-ish, but no. It doesn't have heart-shaped leaves, and it's got the little chevrons on it. So we know it's clover. And it smells like beans. And here's, oh look, we got a few. That's why they call it white clover, because of the flower. There we are. And one last little tulsi plant, being happy. All right. Well, there we are. That's my garden. Those are the bees. Well, thanks, little garden. You were a good little garden, and I really, really enjoyed working on you. And all things pass. This too shall pass. Seeded that by hand. Not too bad. It's rye, mostly. The fava beans just starting to come. There's a few fava. Just getting the hang of it. There we go. I'm gonna miss coming here. Taking care of everybody every day. You guys were good. It was fun and beautiful. It was magical and mysterious. I cleared all this stuff out here this year. This was all overrun with blackberries. And I cleared it all myself. Put the wood chips down. Put a couple of benches in. You need a lunch break. Here's a glorious patch of stinging nettle. Looking delicious. Some jewelweed in the background. Looking very invasive. Here we are. There's the spot. All right. Thanks so much. Goodbye.